We are inside a new section. Inside this new section, we are going to focus on how to dress up or style up our React components with the help of CSS. We have styled our React component so far with a very basic approach. Apart from this basic approach, we also have various other famous approaches that are being followed by the industry. The agenda of this section is to explore all the options available to style the React components. In the same process, we are also going to understand what are the pros and cons of each of the option. Once we explore all these options, we'll also explore the options around the Bootstrap and Tailwind. So for the next few hours, we're going to completely talk about styling. I hope you're clear with the agenda. Since we are into a new section, I tried to change the background of the slide just to avoid some boredom both for me and for you. First, let's try to understand what are the various approaches that we have to apply CSS inside any UI application. Before the modern UI development or before the invention of React, Angular or Vue, everyone they used to develop web applications by using plain HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In such a classic or old style of development, developers they used to write HTML, JavaScript and CSS code in individual files. HTML files they are going to have .html extension. Similarly, JS files will have .js and CSS files they will have .css file extensions. By following these extensions, developers they used to create multiple files, and in these multiple files they used to write respective code. This was the approach for many years, but with the invention of latest libraries and components and frameworks like React and Angular, the way we write CSS is changed a lot over the last few years. If you talk from React perspective, inside React applications, we can follow two different approaches to apply CSS. The first approach is inside React component, we can write JSX, and inside JSX, we can write JS plus HTML code. And the CSS code will be present in different file, and the same CSS file will be imported into the React component. This is one style. In fact, we followed this approach in the previous sections. The other option that we have is we can try to embed all code inside JSX. Inside JSX, we can write normal JavaScript, we can write HTML-like code, and we can also provide inline styles by using style parameter. There is no good and bad here. Based upon project requirements and complexities, developers they can follow either this or this approach. Based upon the decision that a project taken, whether they want to follow the inline styles or whether they want to maintain the CSS in a separate file, there are multiple options available inside the industry. Let's try to understand what are those. Inside this slide, I have mentioned three different options. These three different options are the most popular options that developers they use to style their React components and React applications. Of course, there is no winner or loser. Every option has its own pros and cons. We are going to explore all of them throughout this section. The first option is we can maintain all our CSS code or styling code in separate CSS files by using class names inside them. And the second option is CSS modules, and the third option is styled components. I hope you're excited. I know you may have certain questions here like, are you going to teach me everything around CSS? Or you may also have a question, is it mandatory to learn CSS for me as a full stack developer? Let me try to answer these questions one by one. I'm not going to teach you the CSS basics inside this section. I'm assuming you're already aware of the CSS basics and you're trying to apply those CSS to the React components. As a React developer, you should know on how to style your React components, what are the options that you have, which option is best suited for you. So this information I'll try to provide inside this section. And yes, it is mandatory for you to know this concept as a full stack developer. Without this knowledge, you can't style your React components. And if you don't style your React components, then no one is going to use your application. Styling is very important for any web application. Let me show you some funny memes around why styling is important or why CSS is important. This is the first meme that I have. HTML will only give you the skeleton to your web application. if you want someone to use your web application, you need to beautify it or you need to style it with the help of CSS. If you see here, with HTML alone, the house is going to look very ugly. No one would like to live inside this house. But the moment you try to apply CSS on top of this skeleton, the house is going to become beautiful and everyone would like to stay inside this house. Let's go to the next meme. This is a meme from Game of Thrones. I hope you like it. Let's go to the next one. Do you see how ugly the same bird is looking without feathers? The same applies to our websites as well. The next meme says the importance of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So the HTML is always going to give you the bare skeleton, whereas JavaScript, it is going to provide some muscle to your body. With the help of muscles, you can perform some dynamic actions. But with HTML and JavaScript alone, we can't survive and we can't roam on the roads. In order to look beautiful, we need skin, we need hair. That's where CSS comes into picture. Let's go to the next meme. This person is a hero from my country, India. His name is Hrithik Roshan. In different movies, he played these two different roles. On the left-hand side, you can see how ugly the same person is looking, whereas on the right hand side is very handsome. The next meme also is very similar kind. She is a heroine from India. Her name is Alia Bhatt. I hope you liked all these memes. From these memes, I want you to understand one thing, which is CSS is very important. Don't be under the assumption I can build applications or I can clear interviews without the knowledge of CSS. Of course, there are some frameworks and libraries like Bootstrap and Tailwind, which is going to allow you to write CSS code very fastly without knowing the basics of CSS. We are going to explore all of them, but as a React developer, first you should know what are the options that you have to style your React components. That is what our focus throughout this section. I hope you are excited.